batch 2027.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. So this is supposed to be a plenary for 3 sections. Let's wait for the numbers to increase a bit. Anyway, this is just a very short plenary. The topic is a bit simple to understand, no? I'll make it simple for you. Share. Oops. Show. Alright. Oops. Bakit ayan? Share. Okay. Oops. Ito na naman tayo. May 200 na ba?
$195.
Sabihin mo sa akin, wala na naman yung share screen ko. Sabihin mo sa akin pag, wait. O dalawa na lang, o malapit na. Ika, mag-share screen na. Okay.
Kailan ka mag-grocery?
Is Monday more of a Zoom day for you guys? Most of your subjects are Zoom? Wala.
Yes po, Doc.
Yes po.
Okay. Is it all right? Anyway, don't worry. I will not call on you unless you want to volunteer. No. Kindly open your videos for me. So, para naman alam ko may kinakausap pa ako. Yan. Sige. So, muna. 2:06 na. Okay na bang attendance yan, May?
Tapos
Dapat
kalahati.
nagpas kalahati, pwede
Wala
na.
pa. 400 and plus sila eh.
400 sila.
100 plus.
Gawin natin 10:07 na sa clock ko dito sa monitor. Sige. So you have no preceptorials today? Only Zoom lectures? Okay. Let's see the chat. Ward work later. You have ward work. Okay. Okay. So probably we could already start. Good morning. I am Dr. Messina, your faculty lecturer in charge of discussing with you laboratory approach to a bleeding disorder for the primary care physician. So for the first part of my talk, I will be pointing out to you the key concepts in laboratory testing used to assess hemostasis in particular, no? Okay. So we know very well in our physiology that hemostasis is a physiologic process under normal conditions that our body tries to maintain the fluidity of blood and prevents excessive bleeding following a vascular injury. Okay. So laboratory evaluation of hemostasis is essential in patients presenting with bleeding, thrombosis, or prior to any invasive procedure. So we go to the first concept. Okay, why do we do this? No, so we should know the goal of hemostasis testing is first to identify whether there is bleeding, or a thrombotic disorder that is present. Second is to localize the defect to platelets, coagulation factors, or fibrinolysis. Third is to assess the severity and risk of bleeding. Number 4, if the patient is on anticoagulant therapy, to monitor this, no? And lastly, as a guide for perioperative and transfusion decisions. Okay. So how do we have rationale? How come may feedback? So how do we achieve this? To have a rational ordering of these tests, okay? So before testing, the second concept is to obtain a thorough clinical assessment through a complete history and physical examination. No, this is very important. Why? Number 1 is to assess if the bleeding is a result of a local anatomic defect or part of a systemic defect in hemostasis. Number 2, again, is if it is due to a vascular defect, a platelet abnormality, or coagulation disorder. And third, if the hemostatic defect is inherited or acquired. So it's very important to obtain clinical data through your thorough history taking and physical examination. The third concept, okay, division of your primary hemostatic test and your secondary hemostasis test. Okay. As in my AVP, in the AVP of my lecture, you have 3 phases of hemostasis. Your primary, secondary, and your fibrinolysis phase, no? Okay. Now, in the primary hemostasis stasis phase, you have your platelet phase. Okay? So this somehow will evaluate or your platelet number and function and vessel wall interaction. So we are concerned with that in your primary hemostasis. The core test under this will be, of course, your platelet count, your peripheral blood smear. You look at the morphology of your platelets as to size and clumping. Your bleeding time, you did that in the laboratory, and your platelet function studies. And the disorders that are detected at this level include your disorders that gives rise to thrombocytopenia and your qualitative platelet disorders, meaning you may have a normal number of platelets in your count, but as to its function, there is impairment in their function. Okay. Next phase is your secondary hemostasis or your coagulation cascade. Your secondary hemostasis refers to the coagulation cascade, which evaluates the plasma clotting factors and your fibrin clot formation. Under this, you have your prothrombin time, your activated partial thromboplastin time, and your thrombin time. And further, if you, in the screening test, if you detect an abnormality or abnormal result among these three, you follow it up with your mixing studies, your specific factor assays, and fibrinogen levels. Disorders that may be detected in your secondary hemostasis will be your hemophilias, vitamin K deficiencies. So you think why? Because there are coagulation factors that are vitamin K dependent, liver diseases, chronic liver diseases for that matter, and anticoagulant effects. So those undergoing treatment and DIC. Another concept that is somehow related to the secondary hemostatic phase is what they call your pathway-based interpretation. So the interpretation of your coagulation test in your secondary phase is pathway-based, which is extremely important in interpreting your results. For example, if you have an isolated prolonged prothrombin time, it suggests an extrinsic pathway defect, commonly your factor 7 deficiency or vitamin K deficiency. An isolated prolonged APTT suggests an intrinsic pathway defect, such as your hemophilias, while prolongation of both your PT and your APTT indicates common pathway involvement or multiple factor deficiencies. If your PT and APTT are normal in a bleeding patient, this may point towards a platelet or platelet function defects such as your von Willebrand's disorder. Okay. So far, are you following me? Can you? Okay.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, thank you. Next concept is your screening test versus confirmatory test. No, this is another key concept in distinction between screening and confirmatory. Your screening tests, such as your platelet count, your PT, and your APTT, once they are, let's say, if there is any abnormal result among these three, it will just indicate a problem in your hemostasis exists, but they do not identify the exact cause. No? Of course, kaya nga screening. It's only when you go to the next step, which is your confirmatory test, which includes your specific factor assays, your platelet aggregation studies, your inhibitor assays, your mixing studies, etc. These tests pinpoint the exact abnormality. Okay. Next concept, your mixing studies, okay, in my lecture. So this is again related to your secondary hemostasis. It helps determine whether the cause is a factor deficiency or a presence of an inhibitor. So when PT or your APTT is prolonged, you do mixing studies to help determine what are you dealing with. Okay? So if the interpretation here is correction after a mixing procedure, so you mix 50 is to 1 is to 1. You have your patient sample and you will mix it with normal levels of a sample of plasma. No, you mix them together. Correction after mixing indicates a factor deficiency, while failure to correct, of course, will suggest the presence of an inhibitor. Okay, I hope that's very simple to understand. Next concept, assessment of fibrinolysis. Okay. Your hemostasis testing also includes the tertiary phase of hemostasis, which is fibrinolysis, which reflects clot breakdown. They say that your D-dimer is the most important marker, which indicates ongoing fibrin degradation. So we are more concerned with the elevation of your D-dimer level, not the lowering, no? Parang walang clinical significance. It's the elevation of your D-dimer levels are seen in disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, in thromboembolic disorders, and following thrombolytic therapy. Okay. And the last concept will be regards your pre-analytical variables. This is a critical step that, wait, oops. Excuse me. Oh no. Sorry. Wait. I had a call. Mhm. Wait, what happened? Oh my gosh. Did not open or wait, ha? I am not there. Okay, sorry. Someone called for a while. I will share my screen. You are screen sharing. Can you see? Nawala yung screen ko?
Go, please go.
Sandali lang, ha? You are sharing.
Di siya nawala, ma'am.
Ay, hindi. Bakit nawala sa akin? Teka. Bakit nawala? Bakit sa screen ko hindi ko makita? Tapos, patay mo. Ay, Myra. Teka.
Stop, ano nyo na lang po muna. Share.
Wala eh.
Share nyo ulit.
Ha? Share ko ulit. You are screen sharing. Hindi.
Stop share nyo muna.
Here. Okay. Ang hirap pag... Sanay kasi ako sa Android eh. Bakit nawala na? My screen. Bakit hindi lumalabas sa screen ko? Okay. O, sige na. Alam ko na. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So, the last concept will be your pre-analytical variables. As I've mentioned, this is a critical step that affects the outcome of your results, of course. No? When you have the presence of a pre-analytical errors. So what are these errors that can occur, no, and affect your results? Your hemostasis tests are sensitive to incorrect blood to anticoagulant ratio. Can you tell me the ratio? What should be the ratio? If anyone remembered in the ABP, it should be what? Maintained at, okay, 1:9. Thank you, Fatima. Okay, 1:9. So, very, strict. I remember during my clerkship, no, we get mad at the medtech because we are the clerks that extract the blood sample from the charity patients. And sometimes we have this blue tap. You use your blue tap, your sodium citrate, and there is an indicator up to where you will fill up the tube with the sample. Rini-reject ng laboratory kasi usually underfilled, kulang, no? And we get mad at them because minsan ang hirap-hirap talagang makakuha ng just but they really are strict regarding the blood to coagulant ratio, which is 1:9. Okay? Next is clotted samples are also rejected, no? Very self-explanatory. If you have clotted samples, of course, you have consumed the clotting factors in the plasma. So that will somehow cause prolongation of your results. Delayed processing and heparin contamination. Okay. So the next part of our talk, oops, what happened? Doesn't want to move. Myra, ayaw gumalaw ng screen. My goodness. Ano nangyari na dito?
Ano nyo muna, ma'am? Stop.
Ha? Wait, ha?
Stop share nyo po muna.
Stop share.
Opo, tapos share nyo na lang ulit.
Then share ko ulit. Hirap talaga. Okay. Ayan. Okay. So we go now to the... Ay, ang kulit. Oh, nawala na naman. My goodness. Wait. For a while, give me 1 minute. I will tell whoever is calling me not to call me. Wait. Sorry. Please do not Paul. Ongoing. So, okay. We go now to the next. Oh, Myra. Bakit ayaw pa rin gumana? How come? Stop share. Sorry. Share. Okay. Okay, let's go to the first exercise. 25-year-old male without known prior comorbidities consulted at the ER. Okay, so kindly read silently, and if you are done, okay, the lab test shows, yun. So, Myra, ito na yung poll. So, the question is, based on the clinical information given, the most likely origin of this disorder is, Myra, poll please. Bakit walang poll? Yun.
Yan na, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Can you answer in your respective?
What the fuck, Kuya Eddie?
May wala nang itataas yun. Hindi ko makita yung response nila sa baba. Ayun. Okay. Okay, we may end the poll. Myra, paki-end na lang yung poll. Okay, so majority of you, 65%, answered the right question. Your primary hemostasis acquired. Kasi very obvious naman, the platelet count is 20,000 and there was no familial history of bleeding elicited in the
Oops, I
history,
did it
no?
again.
So let us say, what is the probable diagnosis here? Based on the very limited clinical data. So, in general, this is a thrombocytopenic disorder, no? Now, again, in pathology, thrombocytopenia can be a result of what? Either decreased production of platelet, no? As in bone, let's say, usually we attribute it to a bone marrow impairment or function. Kasi doon nagpo-produce yung platelets mo, no? From your megakaryocytes. Or a increased platelet destruction. It can be due to autoimmune disorder or condition or due to sometimes infection like in dengue. No? Okay. So actually, stop sharing.
Unusually large. Unusually large tastelets. Open it out. Turn on delete
What
them.
happened to my phone? So actually, this is a case of ayaw. How come, Myra? This is a case of immune thrombocytopenic purpura. Okay.
8 plus 7.
Myra, bakit kahit anong pindot
8
ko,
plus 15.
ayaw mag-move?
Hindi ko alam bakit.
Parang mas marami na ako nagastos sa badminton
Nahirap
kaysa sa bike.
talaga. Anyone can help me who has madami kong mga Mac users dyan. I'm not
Or
masyadong
equal na sila.
with Mac
Ang
kasi.
mura lang na bike.
Wait. This is a new.
Ay,
Hmm,
malapit na kayo dumating
wait.
yung
Ayun.
palda ko.
Dapat pinakopy ko na lang to. Ayaw eh. How come? What will I press so that it would advance? Anyone who can help me technically here? What should I press? There. Okay. Siguro. So actually, the diagnosis here is immune thrombocytopenic purpura. No, this is an autoimmune disorder characterized by low platelet count due to the immune system mistakenly producing antibodies against its own platelets. So it can be seen both in children and in adults. No? Okay. Next. We go to number 2 case, a 55-year-old man who with obstructive jaundice develops easy bruising, laboratory test shows. Okay. Okay. So thank you for your response. So the right answer here is letter B, factor 7 deficiency. Okay. May paki-end na yung poll. Share results. Stop sharing. Oops. Boba naman. Okay. So, what do we know about factor 7? So, what do you think? How did the obstructive jaundice contribute to the bleeding abnormality, easy bruising, particularly your toe time? Anyone? Remember, your vitamin K dependent factors are your 2, 7, 9, and 10, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So what happens if you have obstructive jaundice, what is affected is bile, diba? The flow of bile, which is needed in the absorption of your what? Fat soluble vitamins. And one of the fat soluble vitamins is your vitamin K. Okay? So, mas less ma-affect yung absorption ng vitamin K. Naturally, there is not vitamin K present to couple with your factor 7 deficient, your factor 7, okay? So this will somehow cause factor 7 deficiency, okay? And prolong prothrombin time, okay? Third case. This is easy naman, obvious. Okay, very good, 100%. So 5-year-old boy presented with hemarthrosis, your APTT is prolonged while your PT is normal. So mixing studies correct the APT. Okay, what is the most likely diagnosis? It is your hemophilia A. Okay, factor 8. Okay. Okay. Later, we will discuss this lupus anticoagulant on the next case. Number 4. Oops, end poll please. Bakit ayaw na? Stop sharing. Mayra, bakit ayaw mag-advance? Number 4. Ayaw lumabas si number 4.
I-launch ko na lang po yung poll.
O sige, launch mo na lang yung poll. Okay, here. So this is the 4th case. A 40-year-old female with history of recurrent miscarriages has prolonged APTT that does not correct with mixing studies naman. She has no bleeding symptoms. What is the most likely diagnosis? Okay. So, okay naman kayo. Magaling naman kayo. So, you got the right answer, your lupus anticoagulant. Okay. Letter C is the right answer. Okay. Now, what is this lupus anticoagulant? No? Your lupus anticoagulant is a wait. Autoantibody directed against phospholipid protein complexes. Okay? So, what test does rely on your phospholipids? It is your APTT. No? So, it is your APTT requires phospholipids to assemble coagulation complexes. So that if you have the presence of your lupus anticoagulant, it binds and interferes with these phospholipids, causing non-correction of your APTT. So your APTT remains to be prolonged. Okay? So, next. Okay. Next and last case is you have a 50-year-old male admitted due to third-degree burns, okay, involving 40% of his body surface. Lab tests revealed decreased platelets, prolonged PT and APTT, decreased fibrinogen, and increased dimer. So what is the most likely diagnosis here? Okay, so you got it correct again. So this is your DIC. They say, when you have a global affectation of your hemostatic test, such as you have decreased platelets, increased PT, increased APTT, decreased fibrinogen, and increased D-dimer, this is what they call a global hemostatic derangement, no? And usually what is attributed to this is your DIC. Okay? So kindly end the poll. Sorry, hindi na nag-advance yung aking PowerPoint. Magpapaturo ako sa Mac user. So in conclusion, your laboratory assessment of your hemostatic test follows a stepwise and integrated approach, beginning with your screening test of your primary and secondary hemostasis, followed by your targeted confirmatory test, with continuous, of course, correlation with your clinical findings. Okay? So with that, I end my plenary session on laboratory approach to bleeding disorders. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, any questions? I hope actually this lecture is quite simple and clear to understand. So most likely the questions will be simple also. It's more of siguro case-based interpretation tayo sa very simple cases lang naman sa exam, sa long exam. Okay? So with that, if there are no more questions, thank you for your undivided attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
The recording has stopped.